Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into something that is literally the engine of modern business and innovation. We're talking about project management. We're going to transform how you look at taking an idea, just a mere concept, and actually turning it into a concrete reality. Because whether you realize it or not, our entire world is built on projects. Mastering the tools to manage them, well, it's pretty much a superpower. So get ready to take some mental notes.
Let's think about this for a second. What do planning a small, backyard birthday party and constructing the massive Delhi Metro rail system actually have in common? I mean, on the surface, absolutely nothing, right? One costs a few bucks and takes an afternoon, the other costs billions and takes years. But fundamentally, they are both projects. They both require clear roles, detailed planning, and a really structured approach to succeed. The Delhi Metro is famous for being completed on time and within budget, despite its crazy complexity. And that is all thanks to the exact same project management principles you'd use to make sure a birthday cake arrives before the guests do.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with Section 1, the foundation, then move to 2, the lifecycle roadmap. After that is 3, the planning toolkit, 4, mastering time, and finally 5, execution and risk.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the foundation. What is project management?
You know, the biggest misconception out there is that a project is just your everyday work. Actually, scratch that. It's not. A project is a temporary task or a set of activities designed to achieve a very specific goal. The key word there is temporary. It has a clear beginning, a clear end, and a defined scope. Ongoing operations like, say, answering customer service emails are not projects. Building a brand new highway? No, that's a project. Project management, then, is the actual process of leading, planning, organizing, and controlling your resources, so your time, your money, and your people, to get that specific project done successfully.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how we break down the 7 unique characteristics that make projects completely different from your daily operations. Notice the temporary nature and the unique output. Every single project creates something new. You're dealing with what's called progressive elaboration, meaning the details kind of get clearer as you move forward. You're constantly juggling limited resources and facing inherent risk and uncertainty. And because projects are so unique, you almost always have to bring together cross-functional teams. Depending on your organizational structure, whether you're in a traditional hierarchy or maybe a more flexible matrix, people from totally different departments have to figure out how to communicate and work together efficiently.
To keep all those moving parts from falling apart, we rely on what is famously known as the project management triangle. Picture a triangle, right? The 3 sides are scope, time, and cost. Your goal is to balance these perfectly. If you suddenly increase the scope, like let's say the client wants 3 extra features, it is going to pull on the other sides. It's either going to take more time or cost more money. And look at what's sitting right there at the center of the triangle: quality. Balancing time, cost, and scope directly ensures the quality of your final output. If you lose control of the sides, the whole center just collapses.
Moving right along to Section 2, the lifecycle roadmap, the project arc.
So what does this journey actually look like? This is the project lifecycle, and it's broken down into 5 distinct phases. First is initiation. This is where we ask, why are we even doing this? And we get the official green light. Second is planning, where we figure out, okay, how will we do it? Third is execution. This is the heavy lifting. This is where teams collaborate and the actual deliverables are created. Fourth is monitoring and controlling, which happens right alongside execution to track progress and make sure we aren't drifting off course. And finally, closure, where we wrap the whole shebang up, hand over the final product, and review what we learned.
Now for Section 3, the planning toolkit, blueprints for success.
So, why do we bother planning so heavily in the first place? Well, planning is what gives us clear direction. It forces you to set achievable SMART goals. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It lets you spot risks early on, allocate your budget, and set up your communication structures. Without a solid plan, a project is really just a wish. Teams get confused, money goes down the drain, and you're just inviting serious delays and ultimately failure.
And one of the absolute best tools to prevent that kind of chaos is the Work Breakdown Structure, or WBS. A WBS is essentially a hierarchical chart that takes an overwhelming, massive project and chops it up into smaller, easily manageable tasks. Think of planning a big school event. Just saying plan event is way too big of a task, but with a WBS you break it down into branches like venue, food, invitations, and program. Then under food, you break it down even further into find caterer and select menu.
Suddenly, this impossible mountain becomes just a series of totally doable steps.
Let's move into Section 4, Mastering Time, PERT, and CPM.
The crucial point here is how we handle uncertainty. Enter PERT, which stands for Program Evaluation and Review Technique. In complex projects, like researching some brand new technology, you rarely know exactly how long a task is going to take. PERT solves this by making you provide 3 different time estimates: an optimistic time, like if everything goes flawlessly, a most likely time, and a pessimistic time for if everything goes wrong. By calculating these, PERT gives you a highly realistic schedule, which helps drastically reduce unexpected delays.
But what if you know exactly how long things are going to take? That's where CPM, or the critical path method, comes in. This brilliantly illustrates the difference between the two. While PERT is your go-to for managing the unknown, CPM is all about strict control. It maps out the absolute longest sequence of necessary tasks, your critical path, with 0 slack time. That means if just one of these tasks is delayed by a single day, your entire project is delayed by a day. To track these super strict schedules, managers will often translate this path into Gantt charts, giving them a visual timeline to ensure absolutely no critical task slips through the cracks. And that brings us to our final stretch, Section 5, Execution and Risk, bringing it home.
Look, unexpected things are going to happen. A supplier goes bankrupt, a storm delays shipping, a key team member gets sick. It's just reality. Risk planning is basically your shield against that reality. It's a very systematic process. First, you identify possible risks as early as you can. Then you analyze how serious they are. Like, is this a minor hiccup, or is it going to derail the whole project? Next, you make backup plans for those severe risks. And finally, when a problem does pop up, you execute your backup plan to solve it quickly and keep the project alive.
Right alongside putting out those fires, you've got to manage your limited resources. Efficient resource utilization is a core objective when you're in the execution phase. It's about ensuring the right amount of money is spent, for sure, but it also means actively managing your organizational structure so communication flows smoothly and your workers are perfectly balanced. They shouldn't be burning out from being overloaded, but they shouldn't be sitting around underused either. It ensures materials are used with minimal waste and that time is tightly managed to hit those deadlines. Managing resources this closely is exactly how companies save vast amounts of money and get way more work done in less time.
So what does this all mean? Well, as our source points out, in today's fast-changing world, businesses that can manage their projects well often stay ahead of their competitors. Project management isn't just a fancy way to check off a to-do list. It is a vital strategic tool. When organizations actually use these methodologies, they see increased profits, they build a better market reputation, they get higher customer satisfaction, and they can respond incredibly fast to changing market demands. It's a real game changer.
So here is the ultimate question for you to take away from this. How will you use these project management tools to build your own competitive advantage? Whether you're launching a startup, reorganizing a department, or even just planning a backyard birthday party, you now have the blueprint. Start with a work breakdown structure to tame the chaos. Find your critical path so you never miss a deadline. Anticipate those risks before they happen. Take these frameworks, apply them to your own ambitious ideas, and start turning them into reality. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy planning!